Hey there everyone, welcome back to Utility Sports, and we've got some really important in-season tournament games going down today, and I'm sure a lot of you are wondering who gets in and how. What is kind of going on with the groups and who's going to win each group? How does the wild card shake out? We're going to talk about that and more in this video. Of course, it is the inaugural in-season tournament, so there's a lot of unanswered questions. A lot of people aren't exactly sure what they're looking at. So let's jump into it here. If you do appreciate the hard work that goes into these videos, the prep time, and all of the kind of work I have to do to make sure I'm versed to talk about these things, first of all, just make sure to leave a like. Secondly, subscribe for more NBA content. Let's get into it here now with the NBA standings for the in-season tournament. You'll see, let's start with East Group A because I think this is the easiest one to look at. When you're seeing East Group A, the Indiana Pacers already have that little X by their name. They have clinched East Group A. They're the only undefeated team in here, but there are some other important teams that are worth talking about because of potential wild card rounds. Now we're going to come back to the wild card at the end of each conference. So all you need to know for East Group A, the Indiana Pacers have clinched East Group A with a plus 39 point differential and a 4-0 record. They've beaten every other team in their group, and because of that, the Indiana Pacers have advanced to the knockout round. Now when it comes to East Group B, this becomes a little bit trickier for a couple of reasons. So most importantly here, the Milwaukee Bucks have beat the New York Knicks, but they do play the Miami Heat for Game 4. Now since both Knicks and Heat are 2-1 currently, what Milwaukee can't have happen tonight essentially is a Milwaukee loss to the Miami Heat and a Knicks win. If the Knicks win and the Miami Heat win, which means the Bucks lose, there would be a three-way tie with a 3-1 record, which means we need to go to this differential category. The Bucks currently have a massive advantage at plus 39, although that could change pretty quickly. For example, if the Heat outscore the Bucks tonight by 10 points, the Heat's differential goes up to plus 21 and the Bucks differential would drop to plus 29, which means if the Knicks were to beat Charlotte by more than 11 points, the Knicks would actually hold the tiebreaker there. Now, very important to note, outside of just the differential, if teams are actually tied in differential, it'll go to points scored. So this is really wide open. Now, the most important thing, if the Bucks just take care of business, beat Miami tonight, they will be 4-0. They will clinch East Group B, which is a real possibility. Also important to note, if the Knicks lose tonight and the Heat actually win against Milwaukee, both the Heat and Bucks would lead East Group B with 3-1 records, but the Heat would actually hold the tiebreaker due to the head-to-head matchup tonight. So because of that, Miami really does have some control over their own destiny. And let's say that maybe Miami beats Milwaukee by 15 points tonight. Their plus differential would go up to plus 26, and Milwaukee's would drop to plus 24, giving the Heat the advantage. So in the event that the Knicks do not win by more than 8 points, the Heat would then hold the tiebreaker in a 3-team tie scenario. So if you're the New York Knicks tonight going into your game against Charlotte, not only is your hope to beat the Hornets, but your goal should be to beat the Hornets by at least 15-20 points because it gives you a chance to out-edge both the Heat and Bucks for East Group B. Again, we will come back to these teams for the wild card because I think this is really important right here for East Group B. Looking at the wild card spot, the Knicks have a really good plus differential, whereas other teams in East Group A don't quite have that. So that's going to be an important thing to remember for the Knicks if they advance to 3-1. And of course, if the Heat advance to 3-1, then we get that 3-team tiebreaker potentially. East Group C now, looking at the Orlando Magic at 3-1, they have a really good spot here coming into Tuesday. They don't have any more in-season tournament games left, but they should be considered the front runner right now, even regardless of what happens in this Celtics game. The Celtics, if they win, it doesn't affect Orlando because they already hold the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Boston Celtics due to their win on Friday. Now, there is a little bit of a shakeup here, though, if Boston and Brooklyn both win. In the event that both of these teams, the Celtics and the Nets, both move to 3-1, we're going to get another 3-team tiebreaker. But important to note, the Magic already have a plus 22 point differential. That means the Celtics, in a win tonight against Chicago, they have to outscore the Bulls by at least 23 points. And the Nets versus Toronto should be looking to beat Toronto by at least 14 or 15 points to increase their point differential as well, in the event that all three of these teams finish with a 3-1 record. Now, important to note, if the Nets win and the Celtics lose, we just get a standard 2-team tiebreaker where the Nets would be 3-1, the Magic would be 3-1, the Celtics, if they lose, would be 2-2. And you're looking at a situation here where the Nets have already beaten the Orlando Magic, so they would actually represent East Group C for the knockout round as the East Group C winner. Now, again, important to note, the Magic plus 22 differential. So when we're talking about wild card situations here, this is where things get really cloudy. The Cavaliers, to really have a shot at a wild card berth, they not only have to beat Atlanta, but they probably have to beat Atlanta by 17, 18, 19 points tonight in order to push their differential up above the plus 22, 23 mark that we currently see the Orlando Magic have. And also you see the New York Knicks in here, plus 18. Any amount of differential that they can add on against Charlotte will be huge for them. They should at least hope to win by 5 so that they could, in a situation where Orlando doesn't win East Group C, they could at least out-edge the Orlando Magic. Important to note for the Milwaukee Bucks as well, with a plus 39 point differential, in the event that they lose to Miami tonight and the Knicks actually lose as well, the Heat would win East Group B, but if it's a narrow loss for Milwaukee, that plus 39 differential that they currently hold would be really good for them in perhaps winning East Group B, not winning East Group B, but actually coming out of East Group B as the sole wild card. So remember, there are 3 teams that make it as group winners for each conference, and then there's also 1 wildcard team. So we'll have 4 teams from each conference into the knockout round, which becomes single elimination. Right now, one of those teams is already locked up. It's the Indiana Pacers. The Milwaukee Bucks should be considered the front runner. With a win in Miami tonight, they would clinch. Orlando should be considered the front runner right now for East Group C, but depending on the circumstances of Boston and Brooklyn, they could get in there. This Miami Heat Bucks game is super important tonight as well. And the Knicks, they still are a wild card in this too with a plus 18 differential. They find themselves in a pretty good spot to make some noise if they were to win against Charlotte tonight. Let's get into the Western Conference now. In West Group A is pretty much all resolved. In fact, all 5 teams have played 4 in-season tournament games already. The Lakers clinched 4-0 record with a crazy plus 74 point differential. LeBron James has been very vocal about the team wanting to play for the $500,000 cash for each player, and well, they played really, really well. And the Phoenix Suns, this is a very important note here too. The Suns at 3-1, they have a plus 34 point differential. And unfortunately for the Pelicans, they're 3-1, but only a plus 33 point differential for West Group B. So you now might be wondering, well, why does that matter? The Pelicans are currently first in West Group B. They are, but they might not be for long. The Houston Rockets tonight face the Dallas Mavericks in West Group B in-season tournament play. And because of the very first in-season tournament game between the Rockets and Pelicans this season, we might have a change and a flip in West Group B. The Rockets hold the single tiebreaker over the Pelicans, and as you can see, there's no 3-team scenarios here. The Mavericks are eliminated, the Nuggets are eliminated, as are the Clippers, so it really comes down to Pelicans or Rockets. And because of that, the Pelicans, with 1 less point differential than the Suns, would not make the actual knockout round as a wildcard team. So if the Rockets win tonight, they hold the 2-team tiebreaker over the Pelicans and would actually supplant them as the winner of West Group B, which is a really big deal. And the Rockets, who have been playing really good basketball this season, a lot of credit to Rafael Stone, a lot of credit to some of those young guys they're taking steps forward, Alperen Şengün specifically. The Rockets are having a very good season for themselves, which I had predicted before the year started that they would be a lot better than most people thought, and I think that we're starting to see that this year, and a win tonight would, I think, give a little bit more credit to them and get them more onto a national stage as well in the first ever knockout round in NBA basketball. West Group B and West Group A are pretty clear-cut and decisive. West Group C is where things get a little messy. Because of West Group C, we have no idea what's happening right now in terms of anything. Like I said, the most likely situation here for a wildcard team is the Phoenix Suns. 3-1 record, plus 34 point differential. That's going to be very difficult to beat. The Kings cannot beat that, because if they were to theoretically lose tonight, their point differential would go down. The Kings are hosting the Golden State Warriors at 9 p.m. Central Time tonight. The Minnesota Timberwolves are hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder at 7 p.m. Central Time, which really kind of confuses this whole situation even more, because the Timberwolves need to win, and they need to win by a lot tonight, and they don't even know what the point differential they'll have to win by is, because their game will end before the other game that they have to kind of beat out. Let's start up with the Kings. If the Kings beat the Warriors tonight, the Kings move to 4-0, the Warriors drop to 2-2, and the Kings would then win West Group C. In that situation, a Kings win means that they clinch West Group C. That would put the Timberwolves in a really tough spot. The Timberwolves would have to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight by at least 38 points to increase their point differential to plus 35 in order to make the knockout stage by point differential. They would have to pass up Phoenix's plus 34 by getting to a plus 35 or better, which is very unrealistic. It's just not something you can bank on beating another really good team. It's a matchup between the first and second seeds in the Western Conference right now tonight, between the Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder. If the Wolves win by 38 points, I would be absolutely shocked. So let's look at some of the other outcomes here. What the Wolves really need to have happen tonight is they need the Warriors to beat Sacramento. If the Warriors beat Sacramento and the Wolves beat Oklahoma City, we would have 3-1 records in West Group C. And because of that, the tiebreaker would not be head-to-head. Notice that the Wolves, who did hold their own fate, had they beat the Kings last Friday, they would have locked up West Group C by now. They lost that game, opened the door here for Sacramento. The Wolves now at 2-1. They need some help, and in order for them to get that help, they need the Warriors to beat the Kings, and they need the Warriors to beat the Kings by a pretty decent margin. You can see here the Wolves are actually trailing the Kings in point differential by 32 points, which is a pretty big deal. At a -3, the Wolves are kind of on the outside looking in here. A couple of things that they need to have happen tonight. The Warriors should be looking to try and beat the Kings, not only beat them, but they need to beat them by at least 12 points. If the Warriors outscore Sacramento by 12, the Kings differential would fall to 17, and the Warriors differential would rise to 17, which means we would have a tie between the Kings and Warriors. And as you can see, the Warriors actually have 2 more total points scored in-season tournament play this season, which would give them the tiebreaker over the Kings in a 3-team scenario if they both have a plus 17 point differential. The Wolves here, though, can kind of supersede that by playing really great tonight. If the Kings and Warriors both have plus 17 differentials, this is in the event that the Warriors beat Sacramento by 12 points exactly tonight, then Oklahoma City, a loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, would have to be by a significant margin of points. In order to advance past that plus 17 differential, the Timberwolves need to beat Oklahoma City here tonight by at least 21 points. Regardless of what happens tonight, even if the Wolves win, if they win by less than 20 points, they will not represent West Group C. It's just not a possible outcome. The Wolves need to win by at least 21 points or more. And the reason I say or more is, what if Sacramento only loses by 11? Then their differential is plus 18. If they lose by 6, then their differential is plus 23. So any single amount of difference from that plus 12 or that 12-point win, essentially, that we're projecting for the Warriors, if there's a bigger difference in that, the Wolves have even more work to do. If the Warriors win by more than 12, if the Warriors win by 15, for example, their plus differential goes to plus 20. So the Wolves would then have to win by at least 24 points. Because they do not have that many points scored in the in-season tournament, they cannot rely on that as their tiebreaker. So the Wolves need to outscore the Thunder tonight by a significant margin. And like I said earlier, it's very likely we see the Suns just as the wild card team in the West. So the teams we're likely to see is either the Lakers are in, the Suns will likely be in as the wild card, and then outside of that, it's either Pelicans or Rockets, and then for West Group C, it's either Kings, Timberwolves, or Warriors, but the Kings are really the most likely outcome because they hold their own fate and could potentially move to 4-0 in the in-season tournament with a win tonight against the Golden State Warriors at home. Important to note, though, the Kings are just 5-15 in their last 20 matchups, with the Golden State Warriors. So a lot lies on tonight. There's a lot of shakeup in these. Just to kind of recap, most likely outcomes: Pacers, Bucks, Magic for the East, with one of these teams, probably the New York Knicks, or perhaps the Brooklyn Nets, make it as a wild card team. And that's really the most likely outcomes out East. And again, out West, it's Lakers, Suns probably make it. Then we have one of Pelicans or Rockets, depending on that Rockets game tonight against the Mavericks. There's a lot lying on that game. And then West Group C is a complete mess right now, but the Kings are probably the most likely outcome. If the Wolves lose and the Warriors win, the Warriors would actually make it. There'd be 2 3-1 teams. They would hold the tiebreaker then over Sacramento, which is another potential outcome here. There's a lot of crazy things going on in this in-season tournament. I think it's an absolute win. The courts, I actually really personally enjoy. I think that they've been really good this season, and I think the standings, the basketball, it's been a lot of fun, and I think it's been something new that doesn't distract from the normal games. I don't think this is going to lessen the importance of the playoffs at all, and I think it does just create a little bit more curiosity during the regular season for the casual fan. For me, I love NBA basketball either way. It doesn't really enhance my experience too much, but it is kind of fun to talk about, and it's neat seeing some of these teams like the Houston Rockets in this conversation, or the Orlando Magic, the Knicks and Heat being in here, the Cavaliers and Pacers. Like it creates a little bit more legitimacy for some of these other teams that maybe we don't expect to be real title contenders this season. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content as well, and we'll catch you guys in the very next Utility Sports video.